Welcome back to another episode of Plant-Based Dads. I'm Tim.
I'm Joey. So I don't know if you've noticed this, but lately there's been a lot of talk about olive oil, the great olive oil debate.
It's been going on for a couple weeks.
Yeah, apparently it stems from this interview between Rip Esselstyn and Dr. Garth Davis.
And for many years, I was staunchly anti-oil. But times have changed.
Both prominent figures in kind of the plant-based world. And I guess, you know, there's the usual the doctor saying that, you know, olive oil is a healthy part of a diet. It's you know, the extra virgin olive oil is loaded with omega-3s or something. And, you know, we need the fat from olive oil. But, you know, behind those studies, of course, there's a lot of money from the olive oil companies. And then there's, you know, Rip Esselstyn, of course, who we all respect and you've met in person and all that, talking about how, listen, we have people that were on the brink of death that have been brought back to life. Were basically sent home to die. And
are still alive today.
And are still alive because they changed their diet and eliminated fat. So there's that whole thing. But I guess the controversy comes over...
I think recently, forks over knives?
Forks over knives, right. They've relaxed their stance a little bit.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's kind of the gist of it. So we kind of wanted to jump into this. I feel like the information that's being put back and forth is still the same. It hasn't changed, right? Yeah. There's the same two parties with the same two conversations. One saying olive oil, we're being paid by the olive oil companies. We need hot olive oil. And the other going, no, we don't need it at all, right? I mean,
in a way, it does make dressings easier, right? The viscosity of it, or cooking is easier for sure with amount of oil or olive oil. But I think it's just still too much, even though we're not afraid of it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because on their website, not only have they kind of, you know, relaxed their stance a little bit, they also just have quotes from 11 different doctors on what they think, and they're all respected and renowned doctors, on what they think about the situation. And everything, there's stuff there from like Dr. Caldwell B. Esselstyn, right? Saying we don't eat any oil, whether it's at home or at restaurants. We just don't eat it and we don't need it. And then you've got Brenda Davis saying, you know, the bottom line is that vegetable oils can be part of a healthy diet when used appropriately. But fats from whole foods remain the superior choice for long-term health. I mean, this has been such a big topic. I mean, YouTubers everywhere, from Jeff Nelson to Mike the Vegan, both who we love, to Well Your World, just down the road from us here. You know, they're all getting involved and talking about their takes on this.
Today, I want to talk about something important because people are being misled. And it's coming from an organization that used to be one of the clearest, most trustworthy voices in the plant-based health world, Forks Over Knives.
The organization Forks Over Knives, which has been a cornerstone in terms of being no oil, recently relaxed its stance on added oils, which is a big change.
Forks Over Knives put a post on Instagram that said, "Our mission is to help people embrace a diet rich in whole plant-based foods, whether or not that includes small amounts of oil. This sounds like good news about your bad habits."
So many people believe that oil-free diets are the key to a healthy lifestyle. I still believe that, right? I mean, I feel like oil, we'll go into it why. You know, they think that fats are bad and should be avoided at all costs. I don't think that anymore, all right? This is not true. So this whole misconception has led to a fear of fats in general. And I don't know that that's healthy, right? It's causing people to opt for low-fat or oil-free products. People often think that a product is labeled if it's oil-free or low-fat, that it's automatically healthy. And that's kind of a misconception also, right? Yeah. It just means there's more processing done to change the flavor. Fats are often seen as the enemy. That is the whole point of the starch solution, right? The fat you eat is the fat you wear, right? And that's an extreme version of it. And you know, again, depending on what your goals are, if you're kind of in your 25 to 35, 40 range, you're not worried about, you know, building muscle and you're just trying to exist, then I've never felt better than I did on that diet as far as digestion, right? But if you're building muscle or you're getting older and you're trying to not have weak joints and all that, then you're going to need, you know, some protein, some fat, and some carbohydrates, right? And I feel like the extreme version, the McDougall version of having like 7% or less than that of fat, I'm not going to follow that.
Yeah, but again, if you are turning your life around for whatever reason, I mean, it can get out of control, the amount of fats. Like if you think about some chips, you've used mayonnaise, you ate something fried, like all of a sudden you do, I think, have to go to the extreme to reevaluate everything. And then instead get maybe that fat from tofu, from other replacements. But it's only in eliminating all that do you realize like how much of your diet was part of that.
Yeah. So here's the difference for what we're doing now, right? We have shifted to no longer being an oil-free channel, but we still don't use oil. So, but for a completely different reason, right? Yeah. Where I would say we're still a low-fat channel, right? We follow a 40-30-30 bodybuilder food and calorie percentage. So I make sure to get at least 40% of my calories from my daily calories. At least 40% of that should be protein. Yeah. Right? That because I'm trying to build muscle and I'm getting older. I make sure that 30% of my daily overall calories are from carbohydrates and 30 from fats. Sometimes it's more like 40 and 20, 40% carbs and 20% fats because I never really get to that fat threshold.
Yeah. So what does that mean? And so that means like we're still not using oil for dressings
or anything.
I'm getting fat from our vegan Greek yogurt that we're making. Yeah. So that'll be a base or still a tofu base. Yeah. Mayo if we need that for a salad. So I really think some things haven't changed. Like we're still better from going to the extreme and now coming back in the middle. But I'm not afraid now to have avocado for our brain function, for our skin, almost for every function of the body, I should say. But
yeah, so we're eating more fat than we did before because we were basically fat-free with the starch solution, and it caused a lot of problems for our health. But our fats are still not coming from oil. We're still not doing that, and I'll go into why. But we are taking in more tofu, more yogurt. Not
avocado. Afraid of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But my calories are still about 20% every day of my daily calories. So my daily calories are at 1,200. So I'm getting to maybe 200 calories.
We're definitely mindful of it, right? Because we're tracking our macros and you can only have so much to stay below the numbers that we need to be at. So that is definitely keeping us in check with that.
So, I mean, why did we change? About a year and a half ago, we explained why we were doing this. But, since the debate is going on, I still want to talk about why we still do it. The starch solution hammered into you that oil was 400 calories per pound. And they were absolutely right, right? This is really why we don't use oil. So 1 tablespoon of olive oil, arguably the healthiest of the oils, right? Let's just go with that. Is still 120 calories for 1 tablespoon. Now, we've seen plenty of shows. Here we are right here with, let's get started. Let's do a drizzle of olive oil.
Extra virgin olive oil.
And I'm like, holy smoke, that's
300.
Yeah, that's 300 calories right there, right? Yeah. And then you make the meal. Then at the end, you lay some olive oil on top of the hummus or whatever. And sooner, you're out, a bunch of tablespoons of olive oil, and you've got 600 calories to the meal, and you haven't even tried to figure out, the basic, that meal is 600 calories. Now you're going to split it all up. I doubt you're eating the whole thing yourself, but that's a lot of extra calories. And for someone like me who has a low, because I'm short people have a much more efficient MBR, so they burn calories at a much lower rate. I can't have that's half of my calories for the day, an extra 600 calories. So, because of that, we're not doing that. But when you watch cooking shows, right? If you're like, hey, I'm no longer oil free, bring it on, right? I'm not ingesting oil because it is just empty calories, right?
Yeah. I mean, we still struggle with a little bit. I mean, I have a number of friends who are, olive oil and lemon on some kale, and I just sort of can't do it, but I can do a lemony creamy with the yogurt or something like that. But, so it still is I've grown a sensitivity now to oil. I'll taste a frosting and go, I can't have any more because I just taste the oil. It just, I don't know.
Yeah, I would say we're still very close to the idea on the starch solution that oil is a waste of calories. It totally is, right? But we eat more fat. Really, for us, it came down to numbers. I'm just reading off my sheet here because I wrote a bunch of stuff I wanted to say. Yeah. But the decision was just a matter of numbers, right? I need to be in a calorie deficit to lose body fat. We all do, right? That's one of the scary things about eating intuitively. You don't know how many calories you're eating. If you're trying to lose body fat, that really doesn't work. If you're not trying to lose body fat, then it doesn't matter. You're just eating at maintenance, you're probably fine, right? But I'm trying to lose body fat. I'm eating within a certain number of calories, and consuming oils, was not going to help me get there, right? So do I still consume fats now? Like I do, right? Like we were talking about, I follow the 40, 30, 30. So that's about 200 to 300 calories a day, if I even get that far. A fat, most of it from avocados. To give you an example, right, of how olive oil and like some of the other fat heavier products work, right? If you take 360 calories a day from olive oil, that's 3 tablespoons, right? Because it's 120 calories per tablespoon. All right. For that, you can also have 1.5 whole avocados, a whole avocado and a half avocado, right? With the fiber and all that stuff still in it, intact, right? That's
a lot.
If you have the olive oil, there's nothing in it. It's processed. It's just the oil. And I want you to think about how much space that's taking up in your stomach, right? 1.5 avocados versus 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 10 tablespoons of flax seeds, right? 10 tablespoons and an entire block of tofu. Now, if you were hungry and you wanted to eat something that wasn't going to make you hungry again in an hour, right? Would you have 3 tablespoons of olive oil? Would you have an entire block of tofu, right? For the same calories, all right? So, for us, it totally is a numbers game. The numbers in olive oil do not add up, right? 360 calories for 3 tablespoons versus 360 calories for an entire block of tofu. Remember, if you're using that olive oil, let's say you put it on tofu, you still have to count the calories from the tofu, right? Yeah. So, we'll do a spritz of the spray, but that's it. And I realize it says 0 calories in the can, and it's not really 0 calories depending on how long you. So what if we're getting 50 calories? I'm fine with that, right? Don't you think? Yeah. So that's kind of, what we're doing there. So imagine the space in your stomach, right? Let's say you had those calories to spend. Let's say you had 360 calories to spend, or 500 for the day, or 1,000. Would you blow a third of it or most of it right in one shot? If you got paid on Friday, would you run out and have like a dinner at the most expensive place, blow it all, and have nothing to eat like all week long? You wouldn't do that, right? You couldn't afford to do that.
So I see how you're making this association with how many calories with money.
Yeah, right? That's what it is. Like I spend calories like I spend money. And I did a video on that. There's a link right here on how calories like money. I always think of it that way. To me, because I'm a teacher, it's all about math. That's what changed everything for me. That was how I started losing the weight. Because when I realized, I was on the starch solution for so long, with eat as much as you want, go back for seconds, right? If you don't have a 1,220 calorie metabolism, sure, you sure can, right? But for someone short like me, that plan was nothing but a disaster. Yeah. When I realized calories in, calories out was what I needed to lose weight, immediately the stuff started to change. And now it's been 1.5 years. I'm at 152 or whatever I am, right? And even now I'm still overweight, but I'm a small person and I can't do that.
Yeah, and also just to add on, as you get older, some people digest fats harder than other people. So you really have to look at yourself and what your health needs are and how fats work in with that.
So the starch solution made me fear fat. The reality is, healthy fats have been shown to have numerous health benefits. And when we say that, we're talking about foods with healthy fats. We're not talking about olive oil.
Yeah,
right?
So we're talking about flaxseed.
Yeah, flaxseed, yes. Yeah. And they range from, the omega fatty 3 acids are essential for brain function. They can help reduce inflammation. Oil-free products often lack these essential nutrients. If you buy something oil-free, you're not getting those things, right? We don't eat fish, so we're not getting fish oil. Which, by the way, fish don't make omega-3s. They store it, right? And they get it from the plants, the algae, right? So we, again, use complement, the omega complex, to get our omega-3s in case we don't get it in food. I do use avocado, but just in case. And that comes from seaweed, right?
Yes.
Yeah, or sea plants, or whatever you want to call it.
The source of the fish get.
Yeah, where the fish get it, right? We just omit the middleman. So So there are benefits to having fat, healthy fats that you're not going to get if you live an oil-free, fat-free life. So that helps our bodies to absorb the nutrients more efficiently and leads to better overall health. So we've learned to incorporate healthy fat foods into our life.
Correct.
But as far as olive oil, even though we're an oil-free channel, we're not eating oil.
And I think I've just seen enough where it needs to be genetically tested, or for them to label something olive oil, it only has to be a percentage of olive oil.
Yeah.
So it's not truly 100% that you're getting guaranteed all the time. So you have to be mindful of that. But I don't know, the whole liquefied oil thing doesn't make sense to me,
Yeah, I would say that our stance on oil has not changed, right? Even though we're not an oil, and the reason we're not an oil-free channel is so we can use spray oil, right? That's basically it. If you look back in the last year and a half of every one of our recipes, none of them have oil in them, right?
I think now we have like 4 or 5 different vinegar types for different dishes we're making, but it still hasn't been oil.
Because I have to get protein in kind of everything I eat, and that amount of calories with no protein is a complete loss, right? Like, I just can't eat it. It's the same reason I don't eat vegan cheese, because it's all just made from oil, and there's literally no protein in any vegan cheese. Whereas dairy cheese, you're getting the same amount of calories, but you're getting 7 grams of protein, right? Dairy cheese is a much better deal than I'm doing that. I'm just saying the vegan version of just being the oil is just a nightmare for someone who's counting macros.
Yeah.
Right?
Luckily, we've got flavorful enough food where we're not even missing cheese or really need it. So
yeah. So, so that's kind of our stance, is that I just don't care about olive oil. If it's something that you want to eat, go right ahead. I'm not ingesting it because it's way too many calories, and I still don't like my foods to be oily. But we have relaxed our stance on yellow light foods, right? We eat them in moderation, and we make sure we get enough fats from foods for nutrient absorption and all the benefits that you get from that, but we still don't go crazy with it.
On that note, there's a video coming with homemade bagels. So
is there really?
Yes, there is.
Right, Tim's on this bagel kick, like trying bagels. Okay,
because
I don't know when that's coming.
Lex loves it every Saturday,
right?
And I think it would be kind of good to do the night before. So,
all right, well, you're working on that, right?
Yep.
Do you have a plan?
It's coming. Yeah.
Do you have a plan?
Yep.
The plan's coming too.
There's a few different plans I'm trying, and we'll nail down the best one.
All right. Well, don't hold us to that. The recipe book will probably be here first before that.
No.
All right. So that's where we are today. We've relaxed our stance on fats, right? Basically not on oil. Even though we're not an oil-free channel, which I keep saying, we're still not eating oil for the same reasons that was drilled into us by the starch solution.
Yeah.
Right?
Just doesn't make sense.
It's just liquid calories.
But the whole food part, we're not so worried as we were before. But we know it is calorically dense, but we do need some. So.
Right. Since we're focused on math, on macros and all that, the oil just doesn't make sense. Right? All right. That's our video today. Hit that like button, show us some love. Click on the subscribe button. Click on the bell. You get notified every time we have a new video, usually every Tuesday. And leave some comments below. This debate between Garth Davis and Rip has like just triggered so much like controversy, right?
But I think that's always good to like reground yourself. Like, what do I believe in, or what makes sense to me? This is one of those moments.
I think it really works for the Esselsteins, this whole thing, because their stance has never changed and it's been the same. Yes, they've lowered their they relaxed a little bit to say, hey, if you're healthy and you're not dying of something, then a little bit of oil is not going to kill you, which is probably fine. But you don't want to make it a habit, because then you will have problems, right? But I really think in the end, people are like forks over knives. They've they've caved in, blah blah blah. They have not. They've never taken a dime from anyone for their information, their studies. They're the exact opposite of caving in. So do they realize that not everybody wants to hear that they can't have olive oil? They realize that, so maybe they're relaxing a little bit. But they've not caved.
I'm just not on board either. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.